So hi again, I have completed all of the bits, that is in terms of sewing them up with the machine and leaving a little gap so that I can turn them inside out. So the next stage really is just to cut the excess material off and round the corners. So I just round a corner first, just like, it doesn't have to be perfectly round, but you're just cutting off that extra material so that when you turn it inside out it doesn't thicken up at the edges and it doesn't bulk up at the edges. So that's the next stage. So I'm going to quickly cut this one out just around the edges. Don't worry too much about it. As close as you can get without obviously cutting the stitches. If you happen to do that, just throw it onto the machine again and run over that space so that you can tighten it up. So just cut that out and then you turn it, if I can get my fingers, it's always, you really turn it inside out just quickly as I can. Turn it inside out, and I usually get a knitting needle or a crochet needle or even a paintbrush that I have sitting there and push the edges out just like that and just like that. Now you will, you're going to tack those that little gap, seam it in just a little bit, but there you go. So, and then the next thing I would do is to just take the iron and just iron that over just like that. So you can see you've got two lovely different sides, and when we get to the stage where we're actually going to make the shape, then you'll see how those two sides fit really well together. So that's as simple as that. So I've got, gosh, I'm making 6 so I've got a few more to work on before I come back, but I'll be back again to show you the next stage. Okay, have fun. Okay, so I'm back again to show you the next stage. So I have pressed the triangle using the iron. Now if your material has a motif on it that may come off or smudge with heat, what you can do is to just put a tea towel over it, just any tea towel like that, and sort of press it like that, so you're not going to actually heat the motif itself. And I'm using a steamer iron, so that helps as well. So I've pressed these so they're nice, and I've remembered to tack that space. I have one or two that I still haven't tacked, but just tack that gap. Remember the gap when we turned it inside out. So the other thing you're going to do then, we're going to just crease the triangle for the areas that you want to be using. And again, you can either use your fingers to press just a little shape in there. I tend to do quite a few at the same time. So I put it into half, press it like that, okay, and then you're going to turn the tip all the way up, so it's almost half of a half, and again just give that a little warmth to keep your areas that you're going to be using. Now why that's important, it helps you when you are making the next shape, which is the next stage. So that center that you've literally formed by those two creases, you want to put the tips, it doesn't look quite in the center, but you want to put the tips really in the center, and that is where you're going to tack. You're going to tack them into place. If we look at sort of this shape, you'll see what the first tack is going to be like. So if you look at that, that's what your first stage is going to be like. So you're just going to tack with some cotton and a needle, tack them into shape there. So that's the next stage. So I'm going to go and do that, and then come back and show you what the stage number 2 is. So I hope you're following this, and I'll give you the information about how to find this and how to email me, Sandra@sandrapollock.com, and I can get you some information and everything else. Okay, so I have tacked one, so you can see the 3 sides are folded in, and I've tacked them all in the middle. So the next stage is to put your thread and your needle through the center. So you want to pull that through to the other side. Okay? So the sides that are not folded in, the red, you want to bring them together because you're looking to make just a very simple crease, so you can find out what the center of that area is. The reason for that, still keeping it this side facing you, back, put your needle in the center of that crease you've just made and pull down to the middle. So have you seen that? Made a crease, either side, it doesn't matter. It's about finding where the center is. Put your needle through with your thread and pull that over. So if I can show you, there you go. So that's pulled over. You want to do 3. You want to do all 3. So again, if you can hold that, find the center. You can tack that a little bit to hold it in, because it is likely to come out if it's not fixed. So let's tack that in. Crease those 2 sides, find the center, and pull that in. And there you go. You can see the shape forming there. You want to tack that. Just a little tack to hold it in. And then you want to do the final third. Right in the center. And pull that in. Like that. So look at that. I'll tack that in. It does get a little bit fiddly at this point, but you're really not going to see if your stitches are as neat as they can be. You're not going to see them. So look at that. That's actually the back. So let me show you another one that I've finished. There you go. I still have the cotton hanging from this one. So there you go. So that's the back. Yes, and this is going to be the front. The only other thing that you need to do to this now is to put a little bead in the middle. So you've got your thread with your cotton, and I've got a tiny little bead. Any bead that you think will just look really nice in the center. So I've just got some beads. It's not very big, but you do see it. So I'm going to tack that into the center. And that little bit, that piece is finished once that bead is tacked in. And you actually need 11 of these in order to make up the Christmas tree. 10 make the Christmas tree, and 1 that you don't complete. 1 that you leave this sort of shape with a bead in the middle that goes on the pot itself. And I'll show you that next stage when we're putting things together just shortly. But as I said, I've got 6 that I'm making, and remember, this is supposed to be a secret, so I hope you've not told anybody about it, otherwise you'll spoil the surprise for people's presents. So I'll come back and show you the next stage shortly. I hope you're having as much fun as I am. Once you've finished making all of your little pretty triangles like these, then remember you need 10 for the tree. And you can see that I've laid the 10 out here. So that's 4 at the base, those 4, then 3 on top of those, 2 on top of those 3, and 1 at the top. And that's your tree. So all you need to do is to tack these corners together, there, and then those 3 together there, those 3 together there, those 2, and similarly, so that you create a tree like the first one I showed you. The only thing I haven't shown you is how to do the trunk, and maybe I'll show you another time, but there are instructions in the pack, and once you make the trunk, that then fits there. With your number 11, I said you needed the 11 of these instead of 10. The pack does say 10. And that's because you want to half do this triangle, and that goes on the sort of the base or the bucket that the tree would be in. And that really is your little Christmas decoration. All you need to do is to find either a hook or a loop or something to go in the top through that top triangle there, and then you can hang it up. So there you go. So I'm going to go away and tack this all together and make my third tree, because you will remember I showed you that I made these first two. So there you go. That's what I'm doing for Christmas. I know it's early, but if we don't get it done, then I won't be able to give them for presents. I hope you've enjoyed just me showing you what I get up to in my day. I do all sorts of things, and this is one of the many things that I do. I like to be creative, and this is one of the ways that helps me to relax. So just one of the silly little things that I've done, and I just thought I'd share that with you. We'll be back soon to let you know what else I'm going to be getting involved in, and also I'm going to introduce you to my babies. You'll have to wait and see who and what they are. So this is Sandra saying ta-ra for now. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.